Hello everyone, today we are going to study about meiosis, a type of cell division for class 10 biology. This type of cell division occurs only in the reproductive organs. The reproductive organs contain the cells called as germ cells. We also call them as germinal cells. And these cells are diploid. The diploid set of chromosomes are represented as 2n, and these diploid cells undergo the meiotic cell division and get reduced to half and form the daughter cells, which are haploid. The haploid number of chromosomes is represented as n. The germinal cells undergo meiotic division to form gametes. These are the daughter cells which are formed after the meiotic cell division, which the germinal cells undergo. So the diploid number of chromosomes is reduced to haploid number of chromosomes. For this reason, meiosis is also known as reductional cell division. The chromosomes always exist in pairs. In human beings or man, 23 pairs of chromosomes are present. N is equal to 23. So if I talk about diploid number, that is 2n, that means 2 into 23, which makes 46 chromosomes. So in each cell of man, 46 chromosomes, which we often refer as 23 pairs of chromosomes, is present. For example, dog has 39 pairs. Potato cells have 24 pairs. That means the chromosome number in each species is always constant. Man always has 23 pairs of chromosome. So this pair of chromosomes is always to be maintained. But during meiosis, the diploid number undergoes haploid. Since each cell occurs in diploid number of chromosomes, that is 46 number of chromosomes, then why is it so that during meiosis the reduction has to take place? The gametes are always haploid in number, and it is so because during fertilization the male produces the gametes called as sperms. Here it was 46, but sperms are 23. And a female produces ovum, which is again 23. And during fertilization each gamete fertilizes and then forms or regains the original 46 number, and so that the human chromosomal number is maintained. Had it not reduced to 23 each time, if it had been 2n, and here also the ovum was 2n, the resultant would be 4n, which would not be possible because the chromosomal number would increase to 92, and it would not stop. In each generation it would increase to 8n, 16n, and so, and therefore this does not happen actually, and therefore the chromosome number in a given species always remains constant. The meiosis cell division reduces the diploid number to haploid number. So the sperms or the ovum in human beings are 23 in number. The pollen grains and ovule in plants are haploid in number, and therefore always meiosis produces the haploid number of cells. Meiosis is subdivided into meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. Meiosis 1 is basically the reductional division. Meiosis 2 is equational division like mitosis. So the real reduction takes place in meiosis 1. This is further divided into karyokinesis and cytokinesis. You can push the I button to refer to the content on karyokinesis and cytokinesis in my previous videos. Here is the I button which you can press to refer to karyokinesis and cytokinesis. Karyokinesis in mitosis 1 is divided into prophase 1, metaphase 1, anaphase 1 and telophase 1. And so is meiosis 2, prophase 2, metaphase 2, anaphase 2 and telophase 2, which is exactly like the mitosis. Let us first study about karyokinesis of meiosis 1, in which we will deal first with prophase 1. Prophase 1 is the first phase of karyokinesis of meiosis 1, which is exceptionally long because it is further divided into 5 substages: leptotene, zygotene, pachytene, diplotene, and dikinesis. This is the first stage of prophase 1, leptotene. In leptotene, the chromosomes appear in the form of chromatin reticulum. The difference in the chromosomes of mitosis and meiosis lies in the appearance of these beads-like structure, which is due to the presence of nucleosome which wind and form these beads. These are called as chromomeres. Chromomeres. These beaded structures are found in leptotene of prophase 1. Why I am using two different colors are because these are homologous chromosomes. One set comes from the father and the other set comes from the mother. That means one pair is paternal and another one is maternal. So these are called as homologous chromosomes. So I have shown the paternal chromosome and the maternal chromosome with two different colors. So what we see in leptotene is just the chromatin reticulum. It is not in the form of chromosome right now. It is long thread-like structure with the beaded appearance and two different colors to represent the paternal and the maternal chromosome. What we are studying over here is the leptotene first that we studied, and this is only the figure of the nucleus, not the complete cell, because we are only going to study, this is the karyokinesis and we are just studying about the nucleus, not the complete cell. Here in zygotene, what happens is that the chromosomes appear in shape. Paternal and maternal chromosome, and by the end of zygotene there is a sort of attraction between the homologous chromosomes. This pairing of chromosomes is known as synapsis. There are chemicals, the DNA and the histone proteins are all chemicals, and they have a sort of attraction, and the two homologous chromosomes come so near to each other that it appears to be having 4 sister chromatids in one centromere. Such a condition is known as tetrad. Tetra means 4, and since it is having 4 chromatids, we call it as tetrad, or it is also known as bivalent chromosome. This is a characteristic feature that we see in zygotene, that the homologous chromosomes start pairing up, they come very close to each other, and the centromere appears to be 1 and the 4 sister chromatids appear to be attached to the same centromere, and the tetrad condition is seen, or a bivalent chromosome is formed in zygotene. This is the third stage. This is pachytene, and what we see in this is that the homologous chromosomes, we know they had paired together and they had come very close to each other, and the maternal and the paternal chromosome cross over each other. We can see that the chromatids have crossed over each other. The crossing over takes place between the non-sister chromatids. If one centromere is binding the two chromatids, they would be called as sister chromatids. Like here, the blue one, these are sister chromatids, but then these are sister chromatids, but then this one and this one is a non-sister chromatid. So crossing over always takes place between non-sister chromatids. So here the red one and the blue one have overlapped each other, and this process is known as crossing over. Crossing over is very necessary to bring variation in the next generation. The place at which they have crossed over is called as chiasma, and the plural is known as chiasmata. Since here there are two places where they have overlapped, we can call it as chiasmata. So we see that the homologous chromosomes have crossed over each other. They have the chiasmata formation, and the crossing over actually helps in exchange of the chromosomal material. Now we are going to study about the fourth stage. This is the fourth stage, which shows diplotin. In diplotin, the terminalization of chiasma takes place. Here the chiasma had been formed and the chiasma will be terminated over here. So what we see is that the maternal and the paternal chromosome are separated with the exchange of chromosomal material. Some amount of maternal chromosome has been attached to the paternal chromosome, and some amount of paternal chromosome has attached to the maternal chromosome. So when we see that terminalization of chiasmata takes place and the two homologous chromosomes have separated, we see there is an exchange of chromosomal material. This is what is significant in diplotin. And in the last phase that we see is dikinesis. We see that the chromosomes are as such present, but what happens is that the aster formation, since this is the last phase of prophase, which we are in the still first phase of karyokinesis, that is prophase 1. Prophase 1 was divided into 5 substages, and this is the last substage, that is the dikinesis of prophase 1. So what happens in the end of prophase is we see the aster formation very nicely, which is by the centrioles, which start giving spindle, and the nuclear membrane is almost at the verge of disappearing. We can see the disintegrated nuclear membrane. There are gaps in between because the nuclear membrane is dissolving, and the nucleolus which was present inside also becomes hazy. In the first three figures that I had explained, leptotin, zygotine and pachytene, I only showed the nucleus, but in the last two, that is diplotin and dikinesis, I have shown the entire figure of the cell showing the nucleus as well as the cytoplasm to show that the aster formation has taken place and the nuclear membrane is disintegrating and the nucleolus has become hazy. No such change will take place in the chromosome. It will be as such, which is seen in the diplotin. This is the second phase, metaphase 1. In metaphase 1, there is no nuclear membrane seen. It has totally disappeared. The nucleolus has totally disappeared, leading the chromosomes to be free. The chromosomes align at the equator, that is the center of the cell. The centromere is present in the center, and the spindle fibers produced by the centrioles traverse the entire length of the cell. The spindle fibers attach only at the centromere. So what we see here is that the chromosomes align at the center of the cell, that is at the equator, and we see that the chromosomal segments have been exchanged and the nuclear membrane and the nucleolus have totally disappeared. This is the next stage, anaphase. This stage is quite important because it is here that the reduction of the chromosomes takes place. in mitosis we studied that the entire chromosome had split into two parts, but here the chromosome here the paternal and the maternal chromosome that are present at the opposite ends, the contraction is taking place. The spindle fibers are contracting. Here is the centriole, the spindle fibers are contracting, the center is empty, the equator is empty, and without the splitting of the centromere, the entire chromosome has drifted to the opposite pole due to the contraction of the spindle fibers. No splitting of the centromere takes place. In mitosis, the splitting takes place and therefore the daughter chromatids are formed. But here in this case, there is no splitting of centromere, and therefore what we see is that we started with two chromosomes and now only one chromosome is there at the pole. This is the last phase of meiosis 1, which is telophase 1. In telophase 1, we see that the chromosomes which had drifted apart in anaphase, they are now present at the pole, and the nuclear membrane has reformed and the nucleolus has come back again. So this is just the opposite of what had taken place in prophase 1. In prophase 1, the nuclear membrane disappeared and the nucleolus disappeared, and here it has reappeared. So we see that the two chromosomes are present at the opposite ends and the daughter nuclei has been formed, and we see the constriction in the animal cell from the periphery, which is showing the start of the cytokinesis. After telophase 1, the cell undergoes cytokinesis. In cytokinesis, the division of cytoplasm takes place. So here completely the centripetal cytokinesis will take place and the cell will divide into two parts, forming the two daughter cells. The cells which have the nucleus and the chromosomes will be present in the form of chromatin reticulum. So after meiosis 1, the result is just two daughter cells. These two daughter cells will now undergo meiosis 2. Each of the cell will undergo meiosis 2. Each of the cell will undergo meiosis 2, and meiosis 2 is equational division, and I have already explained equational division while I was teaching mitotic division. You can refer to the I button and you can see that the process of explanation of mitosis in my previous video. Watch my video and refer to the equational division, which each cell of after formation or after undergoing meiosis 1, each cell will undergo meiosis 2. Meiosis 2 will be equational division. After meiosis 2, this cell will form two daughter cells and this cell will form two daughter cells. After equational division, because we have studied that in meiosis the daughter cells formed are 2 in number, here also it will be 2 in number, but when we see the entire meiosis we find that these are 4 in number. So after each meiotic division, one cell gives rise to 4 daughter cells. Let us now see significance of meiosis. Meiosis helps in reducing the number of chromosomes from diploid to haploid to form gametes. So gametes formation takes place by meiosis only. Second, it restores the number of chromosomes characteristic of a species. It maintains the number of chromosomes in a particular species by undergoing reduction. And the most important significance of meiosis is that during crossing over, exchange of chromosomal material takes place necessary for variation. So variation is necessary in sexually reproducing organisms, and therefore we see that the offsprings are similar to parents but they are not exactly the same, and it is only because variation has been brought about by crossing over which takes place during meiosis. Otherwise we see in unicellular organisms, when an amoeba divides, the parent and the daughter cells do not have any difference. But here, since two individuals are taking place, we have studied about the paternal and the maternal chromosome which are undergoing crossing over. We see that variations are seen in the next generation, which is so necessary for evolution. So this is one of the most important significance of meiosis. Let us now study the differences between mitotic and meiotic cell division. This shows mitosis and this shows meiosis in the other column. So the first difference is that it occurs in the body of all cells except the germ cells. So it occurs in all the somatic cells. The body comprises of millions of somatic cells. But meiosis takes place only in the germ cells, which is the reproductive cells, that is in the testis and the ovary. The second difference is that the number of chromosomes remain the same. That means the parent cell and the daughter cell have the same number of chromosomes, and so it is called as equational division. But in meiosis, the reduction takes place from diploid and it is reduced to half to form haploid cells, and thus the division is called as reductional division. In mitosis, 2 daughter cells are produced, while in meiosis 4 daughter cells are produced. In mitosis, there are 4 stages: prophase, metaphase, anaphase and telophase, while meiosis is a long division because it has been subdivided into meiosis 1 and meiosis 2, and each has 4 phases, and prophase 1 is further subdivided into 5 substages. So this is exceptionally long. In mitosis, crossing over does not take place, and therefore the daughter cells are identical to the parents. But here in meiosis, crossing over takes place, exchange of chromatin material occurs, and therefore there is difference. Daughter cells have identical chromosomes and daughter cells are not identical to the parents due to variation. Exchange of genetic material does not take place in mitosis, and here in meiosis the genetic components of both the parents are merged in the daughter cells. And the last difference is that the genetic material remains constant. The genetic variability does not occur, and here the genetic material develops variability because of the combined components of the parents. So these are the differences between mitosis and meiosis. Thank you.